Can you afford the 2026 Honda Civic Sedan? Well, I've run numbers on pretty much every trim level of the sedan. Regarding the hatchback, we don't have the official price for the entry-level hatchback or for the Type R, so I can maybe do a separate video on the hatch later, but here we're going to focus on the sedan. And I also do not recommend that anybody pay, MSRP for any vehicle. You should try to get some form of a discount. So I used JD Power to see the invoice price of a 2025 Civic Sedan. Regarding that entry-level LX trim level, there's about $1,000 difference between MSRP to invoice. When you move up in trim level, there seems to be about a $2,000 difference between invoice to MSRP. So for this 2026 simulation, I just gave every trim level a $1,000 discount off of MSRP. I don't think really any dealership should turn you down for selling you a vehicle at slightly above invoice. But stay tuned until the end of this video where I will be sharing with you how you can get a 2025 Toyota Corolla for 12% off the MSRP. More on that later, but here I did not run a leasing calc for the Civic Sedan because we don't have any numbers regarding the 2026 Civic Sedan lease. So we're just going to run with a finance calculation instead. On Honda's own website, they're advertising like 4.99% for their promotional finance. That is just absolutely awful. If you go on a website like PenFed, which you don't have to be military or anything to join, all you have to do is put $5 into a savings account and you're automatically a member. PenFed is offering 4.79% interest for 60 months on a new vehicle, beating Honda. That's just insane to me. So I just went ahead and I ran numbers for a 60-month finance at 4.79% for every trim level. We're also going to put no money down, and we're going to use Pennsylvania as the example state, and a little over $1,900 for the additional title and fees. And we're putting no money down because, the whole point of leasing or financing a vehicle is to preserve our capital and to not blow it all onto a rotting, depreciating liability. All right, so that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. Now, for a base LX sedan, your finance payment, it's going to be $536.62 per month. The sport trim level of the sedan, $576.43. The sport hybrid sedan, $630.16 per month. The SI performance model, $663.99. And for the top of the line sport touring hybrid sedan, $689.87. Regarding all of these builds, I chose the free color option, and I just chose the accessory one pack, which includes some floor mats and some other things. And that's all I chose for all of these sedans. But those are your finance payments for all of these trims. Now, to calculate just how much income you need to afford these vehicles, there's actually a Kelley Blue Book article that states that your total monthly payment, including your insurance and your fuel, it should not exceed more than 10 to 20% of your net monthly income. So I just looked up rough estimates for insurance and fuel costs for the 2026 Civic Sedan. Monthly insurance, I just chose $120 per month. Honestly, you could be paying a lot less than that depending on where you live. I'm just rolling with $120 a month, and I'm also going to choose $100 per month in terms of fuel. The Google AI, it spat out like $1,000 per year, which is $83 a month for the gas model Civic sedans. Yes, the gas model, very efficient. Hybrid, even more still. But I should just rounded that up as well, and I went with $100 per month as the flat fuel cost for all of these trim levels, including the hybrid. I'm kind of overestimating a few things because some people might be living in certain states that have a perpetual property tax that they have to pay annually. Some people might drive a lot. Other people might live in a state that has crazy high insurance costs. Who knows? I'm just overinflating everything to make everyone happy. So that means the total monthly finance cost of a entry-level LX sedan, it's going to be $756 a month, including the payment, the insurance, and the fuel. For the sport trim, $796 per month. For the sport hybrid, $850 a month. For the Civic Si sedan, $883.99, and for the top of the line sport touring hybrid, $909.87 per month. For these payments to be 20% of your net monthly income, you have to be bringing in $3,783 per month to afford the entry-level LX. But for that entry-level model to be 10% of your net monthly income, to really comfortably afford it, you got to be bringing in over $7,500 a month in net monthly income. Yeah, that's for the entry-level LX. That means it's going to get worse from here on out. For the sport sedan, you got to be bringing in between about $4,000 to $8,000 a month. For the sport hybrid sedan, $4,200 to $8,500 per month. For the Civic Si, $4,400 to $8,800 per month in net monthly income. And for that top of the line sport touring hybrid sedan, you got to be making between $4,500 to a little over $9,000 per month to comfortably afford a top of the line Civic sedan. The hybrid sport touring hatchback is going to cost a little bit more even still. So these are your numbers for the 2026 sedan. Of course, Honda is typically one of the more expensive vehicles in the economy car segment, and high interest rates really don't help. And we don't have any lease programs either for the 2026 Civic. However, I did run some lease numbers on a 2025 Civic, and it's not good. The interest rate on a 2025 Civic lease is like over 6%, so not even worth talking about or looking into. And another thing I don't like about Honda is, yes, their vehicles are brilliant, but they're really brilliant when you get them in their top trim levels, such as the Sport Touring Hybrid. I actually recently did a review on a Sport Touring Hybrid hatchback. Genuinely one of my most favorite vehicles for sure. Probably my most favorite compact car that I've tested. That's fine, but as you can see, it costs a lot of money. And even on a 2025 Civic, I'm seeing discounts on average of about $2,000 off the MSRP from the dealers themselves. So not a substantial or a crazy discount by any means, but even with all of that, it's going to be expensive. And the thing that Honda does is they put a little bit more refinement details and NVH enhancements with the top of the line sport touring hybrid vehicles that the regular gas models don't get. So a lot of people comment saying that, you know, their gas powered Civic seems a bit crude, seems kind of loud, has a bit more road noise and wind noise. That's because it's true. They reserve the better NVH enhancements for the top of the line models. And it's not just with the Civic, they do this with other models in the Honda range as well. Something to keep in mind there. But I do love these cars. They drive great, very practical, very spacious, brilliant cars, but the programs are not great, leading to rather poor affordability. Now, I did mention at the beginning of this video how you can save 12% off the MSRP on a new 2025 Corolla. Well, that's going to be through AutoCompanion. This is a company that I am affiliated with and partnered with. AutoCompanion offers one of the largest automotive concierge services in the United States. And yes, on pretty much every trim level of the Corolla, including the base LE, he's got 12% off the MSRP. That is insane because for the longest time, the Corolla was trading at sticker price. So on like a $25,000 entry-level LE sedan Corolla, you're saving about $3,000 off the MSRP when you buy through AutoCompanion. And I did run leasing numbers and financing numbers for the LE sedan and the SE sedan of the Corolla. And again, these discounts apply only to the sedan, not to the hatchback, which is fine. I prefer the sedan, that's perfectly fine. But keep in mind though, to access these deals and these discounts, you do have to pay AutoCompanion's concierge fee, which is almost $1,000. So that does certainly eat into your discounts. He did say that if you sign up on his website and you mention my channel, he will take about $50, I believe, off of his concierge fee. And I do appreciate him doing that for my audience. So when I ran these numbers, I actually included a $949 concierge fee from AutoCompanion. So the lease payments and the finance payments that you see, it's going to include AutoCompanion's fee. But one thing I did not include is shipping. So AutoCompanion is primarily located in Washington, D.C. If you're not local to that area, AutoCompanion does offer nationwide shipping, but that's something you have to pay extra for. In this simulation, I'm just going to pretend that you are picking up at DC, so you're not paying any shipping cost. All right, hopefully that makes sense. And we do actually have leasing numbers for these Corolla sedans. You can see it on AutoCompanion's website, and he also has a separate free leasing calculator that you can use. I'll have it linked in the description box below. This shows you the interest rate of a lease, which is crucial, along with the residual values and the incentives that you can get in your local zip code. Incentives stack on top of whatever dealer discount you are able to get. So AutoCompanion's got 12% off. If you qualify for loyalty or something through Toyota, you can get an additional incentive that stacks on top, which is great. So you can certainly play with that calculator on your own time. But a base LE sedan with just the first month's payment due at start for 36 months, 10K miles, $378.56. The SE sedan, $400.01. Interest rate on the lease for these Corollas as of right now, June of 2025, it's a little over 4%, which is not great, but it's also not terrible. It's okay, it's worth considering if you're really on a tight budget. But regarding the finance, Toyota is just as bad as Honda. They got 4.99% for 60 months. PenFed is literally beating Toyota with 4.79%. So I'm just gonna roll with that. The LE sedan, it's gonna finance for $497.63 for 60 months with no money down. The SE sedan, it's going to finance for $531.22. I use the same insurance and fuel cost as the Civic, so monthly insurance, $120, monthly fuel, $100 per month. That means the total monthly lease cost for a LE sedan Corolla, it's going to be $598.56. So you got to be bringing in between $3,000 to $6,000 in net monthly income in order to afford a base Corolla LE lease. For the SE sedan, total monthly lease cost, it's going to be $620 per month. So you got to be bringing in between $3,100 to $6,200 per month in net monthly income to comfortably afford the SE sedan lease. Regarding the finance, the LE sedan total finance cost is $717.63. So you got to be making between $3,500 to $7,100 per month. And for the SE sedan, $751 a month is the total finance cost. So you got to be making between $3,700 to $7,500 a month. All of these figures still pretty high, but much better than affording the Civic because we actually have a much larger discount and we finally have a somewhat decent lease program, making these vehicles even more affordable. So yeah, for someone making, somewhere in the $3,000 a month range, can actually afford a new Corolla, and that's great to see. But hopefully you appreciated this comparison between the Corolla affordability and the Civic affordability. One other thing to note is the Civic is 2026, so deals and discounts, incentives, promotional rates, it's not going to be as good as a 2025 vehicle, but Honda and Toyota, they're pretty special in the fact that even the 2025 cars don't really have crazy good incentives or promotional finance rates, as we saw with the 2025 Corolla, but Toyota did have a somewhat okay lease deal going on, so that helped. You look at the 2025 Civic, they got nothing going on with that either, so I guess it's not a big deal. I just thought I would mention it. And keep in mind, lease programs, interest rates, incentives, they can change every month, but this video should serve as a good guide moving forward. Anyway, if you found value with this content, make sure to like and subscribe. I will also have AutoCompanion's information in the description box below if you're interested in working with them, or if you just want to use his free resources, that's fine too. I will have all of that linked below. Thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.